Welcome to the IronHand Tech Channel. Looking at the attack weight ships floating around the oceans to transport goods or oil and gas, few of us ask the question, these convenient vehicles, when they are no longer of use, what will people do with them? There are many ways to handle these ships, such as stopping operations and selling them for scrap, using them as training targets, sinking them to create artificial coral reefs, of which recycling is the most common way of handling. The ship will be put in a barn, removing valuable equipment and selling all or part of it to recycling companies. So how does this forum work? Let's find out in today's video. First, let's find out why we have to recycle old ships. Giant ships weighing thousands of tons after long and stormy journeys will have to rest. The more new ships are produced, the more retired ships, however, if these giant ships are not handled, they will cause many impacts on the environment and human health. First is environmental pollution. Old ships contain many toxic substances such as oil, paint, asbestos, heavy metals, lead, mercury, cadmium, etc. When abandoned, these substances will leak into the marine environment, polluting water sources, affecting marine ecosystems and marine species. According to a report by the International Maritime Organization, IMO, every year millions of tons of toxic waste from old ships are discharged into the marine environment. This seriously affects the ecological environment and human health. Compared to sinking or abandoning ships, recycling is by far the most environmentally friendly and economical way to dispose of old ships. Not recycling old ships is also not economically viable because old ships still contain valuable materials that can be recycled, which if not utilized will be a waste of resources. One of the largest and most active shipbreaking markets is India. Nearly 140 miles of the country's coastline is used as shipbreaking yards. India exports 1/3 of the world's ship scrap. So how do people recycle old ships? First, the ships are stripped of any remaining oil and fuel. The oil and fuel on board are pumped out and transferred to specialized tanks. Then the cargo holds and engine compartments are cleaned to remove dirt and grease. Devices containing toxic substances, such as batteries and accumulators, are removed and processed separately. The engines and machinery of the ships are often very valuable. They are removed and sold to recycling plants or used as spare parts. Electronic devices such as radar, sonar, and interior equipment such as doors, seats, and air conditioning systems are also removed, recovered for precious metals, or recycled. The ship is now ready for the dismantling process. Depending on the size and specifications of each ship, the dismantling process varies in scale and method. The traditional method uses an oxyacetylene torch to cut through the steel plates. High-temperature plasma or high-pressure water jets can also be used. Today, this work is largely carried out in developing countries and is accompanied by unacceptably high rates of work-related deaths, injuries, and occupational diseases. In November 2016, 17 people were killed in a series of explosions on an old oil tanker at a breaking yard in Gadani, Pakistan. In 2019 alone, 26 shipbreaking deaths were reported in Bangladesh. The hull is the first place to be dismantled, which is usually cut into large steel plates. Internal structures such as decks and bulkheads are cut into small pieces. The steel plates are sorted by thickness and chemical composition for different recycling processes. Other metals such as copper and aluminum are separated for recycling. In Bangladesh, an estimated 36,000 workers work in the shipbreaking industry, and half of the country's total steel is produced from scrap collected from shipbreakers. It is estimated that it takes an average of 500 to 1,500 workers to dismantle and recycle a ship. Most of the steel after being dismantled is sent to recycling facilities, where it is put into blast furnaces to be melted at high temperatures. Then the molten steel is refined to remove impurities and adjust the chemical composition. Finally, the liquid steel is cast into new steel products, such as steel bars and steel coils. Waste generated during the demolition process also needs to be treated. Asbestos is sprayed with water to reduce dust and collected with vacuum equipment. Lead-containing paint is scraped off and treated according to regulations. Solid waste is classified by type, paper, plastic, wood, and recycled or treated. Wastewater from the demolition process is treated to remove pollutants before being discharged into the environment. Impacts of ship recycling. Although there are many benefits from ship recycling, there are also many problems that the ship recycling industry needs to face. First of all, it is about labor safety. Ship breaking has a lot of potential risks of labor accidents. According to the International Labor Organization, IMO, old ship breaking is one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. Impact on the environment. The World Bank's 2010 report provides reliable research results, estimating that by 2030, Bangladesh and Pakistan will accumulate millions of tons of hazardous waste from shipbreaking. This includes 85,000 tons of asbestos, 256,000 tons of toxic chemicals known as PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls, mainly from the ship's electrical cables, 225,000 tons of ozone-depleting substances, 75,000 tons of paint containing heavy metals and toxins, 720 tons of heavy metals, nearly 2.2 million cubic meters of liquid organic waste, and more than 1 million tons of other hazardous waste. Old ships from developed countries are often brought to developing countries under the guise of operating ships for dismantling. In this way, shipping companies from developed countries, especially in Europe, can circumvent their own country's very strict environmental laws. In the future, to minimize the negative impacts of the ship recycling industry, people have studied many different methods, of which beaching is the most popular method because it can take advantage of natural beaches with high tides and long sandbanks. However, this pollutes the sandbanks and the surrounding environment. This method is not considered environmentally friendly. Instead, scientists have developed a sustainable and environmentally friendly process that can be implemented by ship-breaking facilities in developing countries without significantly increasing costs. The proposed method is to carry out the entire ship-breaking process on a specially constructed demolition deck rather than on a mud surface. The 4 different layers of the demolition deck, made from concrete, cobblestone, and sand, will ensure that all different types of hazardous waste are retained and not released into the environment. Since each layer has a different degree of porosity and the ability to regulate the way materials pass through it, hazardous materials and waste are effectively retained and cannot reach the bottom of the demolition deck or flow out to sea. The research model demonstrates the potential to reduce or even eliminate the possibility of hazardous materials from shipbreaking activities polluting the surrounding environment. The proposed approach is sustainable on 3 levels: protecting the environment, allowing shipbreaking activities to continue to benefit livelihoods and reduce the exploitation of natural resources, and using the most natural materials available to build shipbreaking platforms that are affordable and reusable. However, there are still many challenges for this process due to the barriers of awareness of the authorities, as well as the economic interests of businesses operating in the industry. According to statistics in 2017, about 80% of the total number of old ships globally is recycled in rudimentary conditions on the beaches of Alang in India, Chittagong in Bangladesh, and Gadani in Pakistan. Ships, those mighty giants, have finally come to the end of their lives. Recycling is not just an end, but the beginning of a new, more sustainable life cycle. Every year, thousands of ships become a burden on the marine environment. If not properly disposed of, they will cause serious consequences, threatening the lives of marine life. But we can change that. By investing in modern recycling technology, developing strict regulations, and raising public awareness, we can turn old ships into valuable assets for a green future. Let's join hands today for a clean ocean and a green planet for future generations. What do you think after watching this video? Please let us know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to the channel so as not to miss the next interesting videos.